We're looking at the two leaders here, 17.5 kilometres to go. Calzati, a one-time winner of the stage, and with him now is Nicky Sorensen. They're hanging on, and we feel ever so slowly, but they are inching ahead of the field here.
No, they certainly are. It's 12, 13 seconds over the chasers. The chasers, I think, really do need to pull these riders back within the next couple of kilometres, or otherwise, all of a sudden, the elastic is going to break, and they will start to build up to 30 seconds, 45 seconds, a minute, and then it is all over for the 5 riders behind.
There's a little message there from the farmers of the Vosges here, the most beautiful area. They've been really busy to welcome the Tour de France into the area. Tomorrow we will see the fields at a great height because we go into the mountains of the Vosges, and they were first introduced to the Tour before the Pyrenees in 1910. I think it was 1906 or 05, I'm not absolutely certain, but they were the first mountains ever in the Tour de France. 15 kilometres to go. They're still ahead, these two riders, Nicky Sorensen and Sylvain Calzati, but they're not pulling away from the chase. They're still persisting as they now are heading for the banner. The clock is running on the banner. The 5 chasers, they left a few kilometres ago, 7 to be precise. The gap is 14 seconds. It's not a done deal yet.
Well, the organisation is now starting to go out of this group, and we're starting to see 1 or 2 passengers. In fact, surprisingly enough, one of the passengers is Franco Pellizotti, who finished second on the stage into Tarbes. They've moved out the red car of the race referee, so maybe the race referee thinks it might just come back. There's the blackboard giving the information to the chasers, and the information he was giving was 15 seconds is the gap, and 5 minutes and 23 seconds is the time back to the main field. And the main field today have obviously not given any presence to Team AG2R. They've made them do all of the pacemaking on the front end of the pack. Egoy Martinez, the leader of the King of the Mountains classification. And now, despite the fact that I just noticed that Franco Pellizotti was sitting on the back end of the main field, he's now taken a serious interest in trying to nail back that gap. When he saw it had gone up to 16 seconds, he started to think about the possibility of dreaming of a stage win. Second so far in Tarbes, and if you give up at a place like this, it really is a waste of a day out in the saddle. You see there Pellizotti, number 91 there, the lime green jersey. He's starting to feel a little bit twitchy. Egoy Martinez, he had to go in the breakaway this afternoon because he was trying to defend his lead in the King of the Mountains classification. But there are 1 or 2 riders in this group now, and not quite as strong as Franco Pellizotti. Now, if Pellizotti had a little climb on the running towards the finish, that might be a nice launch pad for him to try and get himself across the gap. But there isn't. It's completely and utterly flat on the way into the finish. Sorensen sitting in second position behind Sylvain Calzati in the blue there, a winner of the stage of the Tour de France back in 2006 into the city of Lorient. They're working well together. They've stretched out an advantage of 17 seconds. Sorensen very nervously coming to the front. His legs are extremely good. You can see by the high cadence that he's got. He's not showing any signs of weakness at all. Behind, they're now starting to get themselves organised, but there isn't the same urgency as the pedalling action, Phil, of the riders in front.
No, Pellizotti, I felt for the moment there, was slipping to the back to plan a sprint across the gap because he is sensing now that it's running away. And I would have thought that Pellizotti would have won today's stage, but he's a captive of the chase. He's
obviously kicking himself, but in fact he's stirred up the urgency in this group, and all of a sudden you can see a change in the pedaling style of these riders. You can see the rider on the front there from B-Box Bouygues Telecom nodding his head, nodding the top half of his body, and that's because he wants to lift the pace a fraction. He's tired, but he knows why be in a breakaway for 160, 170 kilometres and give up at 12 kilometres to the summit.
Yes, indeed, a very good point. The flick of the right arm, always the signal, come and give me a hand up front, I've done my bit. Well, there's no problem in Nicky Sorensen giving anybody a hand. This guy's a very aggressive bike rider, been the champion last year of Denmark, and his big red jersey with the big white cross on it stood out for a long time.
Well, they've got themselves organised. The clock still reading 16 seconds between the 2 leaders and the 5 chasers. 6 minutes, Phil, back to the main field, and AG2R, having set all of the tempo making on the front end of the peloton, have absolutely no friends.
And you know, this boy is gaining time. It's putting another player on the board for Saxo Bank, because Nicky Sorensen started the day 10.5 minutes down. He's now pulling back 6 minutes on the field. That's going to help him climb up the ladder to around about 23rd, 24th place overall. Just under that 10-kilometre banner, these two riders are beginning to look very good now. It's not just about the win now, because Nicky Sorensen has got himself 6 minutes lead over the peloton. He started the day 10 minutes and 36 seconds down. He is putting himself in the top 20 in the Tour tonight.
Well, Phil, I have to say the other thing that is important to mention is when you talked about the green jersey, the difficult thing about the green jersey is not just about winning individual stages. It's about sprinting for points on every individual stage when you have the possibility, and there are still 18 points available for an 8th place finish on a stage like this, which is why Mark Cavendish still has to come out and sprint, even though he's not sprinting for the victory.
So we might well see the Columbia team get into action on the run-in, even though they're not racing for the first prize today.
And if you look at the leading two there, Phil, although Calzati is out of the saddle, they seem to be losing a little bit of their organisation, and Nicky Sorensen goes again.
Well, he came from the slipstream there, he really kicked, and Calzati said, well, that's it for me, I'm going to wait now. So it's one versus the rest. Look at that acceleration of Nicky Sorensen, and yet you saw his face as we did. He looked as though he was absolutely out of it, and he's kicked really hard.
Bang, that's not taking any prisoners at all. He looked a lot stronger than the Sylvain Calzati. Nicky Sorensen now is starting to build a very interesting lead.
He's a tremendous cyclist. This is 7th Tour de France. He's never not finished under the Eiffel Tower in Paris. He's always made home. His best finish was in 2002 when he finished in 20th place. And that could be where he sits tonight if he keeps gaining time.
Well, he's got a long straight behind him now, and the impetus is certainly going out of this group. Calzati is still managing to hold on. Remy Poriol has completely and utterly disappeared from that group. Spent force he must have dug really deep in to try and help to pull back the two-man chase group, but unfortunately for him it looks like it's almost over, because Sorensen does not look like a man that's going to weaken to me.
Now there's got to be a reaction. Looks like Pelazzotti has found he's now sitting around a lot of tired riders here, so the two riders first and second in the King of the Mountains title are having to go on the flat together. Under 2 kilometres to go now. He's beginning to dream of a stage win here in the Tour de France, as Nicky Sorensen will probably know Lefebvre's taken a dive after the finish, but they're all coming back together down there. Pelazzotti's now trying to make last desperate moments. Time running out for this Italian rider.
1.5 kilometres to go. He went round that corner there, Phil, full tilt, no touching of the brakes at all. He didn't lose any of his impetus at all. He swings around these corners, waiting to hope and see the Flamme Rouge, the red kite in the sky, and still Laurent Lefebvre ready to have a little go.
1,000 metres for Nicky Sorensen. He's going to win his first ever stage in the Tour de France at the 7th attempt, and he's gone under that banner now, and he's running away. Wise man checking out. 34 seconds is the gap. They can't possibly close that down now. Been a tremendous attack. Saxo Bank, remember, they started the Tour de France with a win by Fabien Cancellara. Now they're delivering unexpectedly with Nicky Sorensen.
Well, he deserves the win here, Phil, because he was the one who laid down the foundations for this solo move. Has opened up 30 seconds over the chasers, and he should be able to cruise and enjoy the last 200 or 300 metres.
Through the grimace there, one can see a smile beginning to pop out as he rides up the home straight. Now he's about to celebrate his first victory since June last year, when he was champion of Denmark, and before that you go back 4 years. So it's going to be a great moment. He's done enough. He nods to the crowd. It's time for the victory salute now, I think, as Nicky Sorensen delivered a glove blow here for Denmark and for Team Saxo Bank, even if the Norwegian flag seems to be welcoming him home down the home straight. This is the way you win stages. You never give up thinking about it. The break went 78 kilometres out at 211 kilometres. It's the moment of glory. Nicky Sorensen takes it.
Well, he really enjoyed that victory. He's got a clear finishing straight behind him, Phil, and it's going to be a sprint for second place. Leading the sprint at the moment, lime green jersey on the shoulders of Franco Pelazzotti. Behind him, Egoy Martinez. Behind him, Laurent Lefebvre, Sylvain Calzati and Marcus Foten. They are going to sprint for the worst position on a stage of the Tour de France, and Pelazzotti's already had a second place.
And he always seems to get himself in the wrong position, poor old Franco Pelazzotti, nicely, because now he's being obliged to lead these riders to the line. Lefebvre could have been expected to make the move as well, because the French are having their best tour for years. And Laurent Lefebvre is going to be challenged by Igor Martinez if he's made it the wrong move, but I think he's too strong here. The B-Box boy will be very upset he allowed that man to escape, but he gets second place today, Laurent Lefebvre. I think Pelazzotti, Marcus Foken, third and fourth.
Well, now as we look at the winner coming across the line one more time here, Phil, Nicky Sorensen, a great victory for him, for Denmark and for Team Saxo Bank. We've got to wait for the big bunch sprint down towards the finish line, because although it's only for 8th place, the man who wears the green jersey, Mark Cavendish, still has to come out and sprint against the likes of Tyler Farah, and of course he has to sprint against the big god of thunder, Thor Hushovd, who is second in that points competition.
And it looks as though Hushovd has a very good position here, and Cavendish is right in there, locked onto the wheel of the rider from Cervelo, as now the move will come up on the outside as well, as this looks like Bernardi is also in the mix here. The skilled Shimano boys with Kenny Van Hummel are trying to break in. Now Cavendish is finding himself in a little bit of traffic here. Now he switched over to his right and he's seen the space. Hushovd goes head to head, but Cavendish again has seen the finish. He is so fast as he comes up to the line.
Well, no contest at all there. He didn't even have to use his team to lead out the sprint, and there's a problem there. This is Cadel Evans.
And what's happened here?
He's crashed. You can see the handlebars are a little bit touched up, and it must have been on the run-in out towards the finish. I'm trying to see if it's in this corner here. Coming around the corner there, you can see there's a crash there, and that looks like Levi Leipheimer went down as well. That was on the run-in towards the finisher. We're just getting these pictures sent back to us, Phil, and I don't know if it's before or after the 3 kilometres to go sign. He would be a lot more urgently pedalling to the finish if he'd crashed outside the 3 kilometre point.
So the 3 kilometre rule has saved the bacon. It's a fairly new rule, that it used to be the last kilometre. They've extended it now to 3 kilometres, probably as well today for Cadel.
Yes, well inside the 3 kilometre mark for Evans and Leipheimer, and no apparent physical damage from either crash, so just a moment's panic on an otherwise tranquil day for the favourites. Now there's the familiar result of the bunch sprint, only the numbers have been changed. Mark Cavendish beating Thor Hushovd in the race for 8th place today, 18 green jersey points as opposed to 17 for 9th. Evans and Leipheimer, as you can see, placed well down on the stage, but losing no time on Armstrong, Contador, Wiggins and company. Well, you've got to pick your days on the tour, and Nicky Sorensen chose perfectly to bag by far the best win of his career to date.
I had the opportunity, and wow, great feeling. Yeah.
Too busy racing to rehearse his post-stage interview technique, that's what we like. And Mark Cavendish passing no milestones today in the end, but passing Thor Hushovd twice when it mattered, and his lead in the points competition now just into double figures.
Mark, we get so used to such high standards from you. It's a surprise when we don't see you and Colombia contest a stage win.
You know, it's a difficult stage. I think it was a very hard start to the stage, and the roads there were really dead. It was a hard day, you know, but yesterday we had to use some guys to bring back the break, and you know, we thought maybe about helping Ajay Désir to bring it back for a bunch sprint, but you know, as the Alps coming up, I need some fresh guys in the Alps to support me, and you know, I'm not going to drill my guys into the ground. They, you know, they're to help me. They're not there to kill themselves, you know. And we want to get to Paris, the 9 guys, and so they deserve a break, I think, once in a while.
So that implies, listening to you there, that it's you who makes that call out on the road. Is that right? I mean, was it your decision ultimately to let them go? Well,
you know, we discussed it with the sports director, and he said, "What do you think about riding?" I was like, "No way, you know." You know, the guys are they're special guys. They're not robots. They're humans, you know, and you know, I think touch and go whether we'd got that back anyway, and I wasn't willing to risk the guys there to do that.
Understood. That said, you beat Thor twice for points today, so that's a little shift in emphasis, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, I think I woke up this morning, we discussed it, and yeah, I said it all along. I'm not going for green, but we've maybe shifting our focus a little bit now.
Oh yeah.
You know, Paris is getting closer, and
why not do it all?
I kind of like the colour, so.
They suit you. Well done, mate.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Well, apart from being considerably sweatier than when they started the day, no change for the men at the top.